Chris, I love Bradley Beal too, and I would hate to see him go. But the other side of the argument is that Beal has been paired with Wall for his entire career, and they've yet to crack a 50-win season playing together. And you're going to have John Wall coming off the Achilles injury. Who knows what he's going to be like? Maybe there is a case to be made for hitting the reset button and getting as many assets and pieces as you can for Beal. I'd hate to see him go, but I would at least entertain the thought.
I've covered this team for 12 years. I've seen 2 resets already. I'm done with resets. I want this thing to play out. And for many of my buddies that have lived in D.C. their whole life, they've seen more resets than that. So at some point, you got to stop hitting the damn reset button, and you have to start making it work, okay? It's like a marriage. At some point, your wife gets on your nerves, right, and vice versa, but you're going to make it work. Make it work with Wall and Beal. And I feel like now, with what Ted is doing, playing the long game as opposed to the short game, each day that it goes by, it makes more sense to me what he's doing. And it's not so much next year. It's probably the year after that, guys.
So, Chris, part of making it work is through improved drafting, and I'm hoping you haven't eaten breakfast recently because this list I'm going to give you of the Wizards' draft success or lack thereof over the last 5 years, it might make you queasy. So, okay, in 2014 they drafted or gave up the rights to draft Jordan Clarkson, who's turned into a pretty nice player. In 15, they selected Jerrion Grant for another team. He hasn't done anything for the Wizards, obviously. And Aaron White was the second-round pick. 2016, no draft picks. In 2017, they traded the number 52 pick to New Orleans for Tim Frazier, who I believe was here for one season as at 15, and some Yusuf Sanin picked 44th overall. There's a reason why the Wizards are where they are, and part of it is lack of success on draft day, and that points it out in the last 5 years at least.
Well, can I go further than that?
Sure.
With just one name?
Please do.
Jan Vesely, game, set, match. So it just adds to your argument, right?
Right, sure.
I think that, I know that thinking of the draft is over. From everything that I've been able to gather over the last couple of weeks, I think the Wizards are going to be very aggressive tomorrow night. I don't necessarily think that that's moving up. It might be moving back to get a pick and something in the second round. Again, the narrative of working with Wall and Beal, I'm living under that assumption that they're going to continue that project. You have to hit on every draft pick. You have to hit on every free agent, okay, to make this work. And they have not hit on all their draft picks, as you illuminated. They have not hit on their free agents. Is the reason why they're in this position today. What I'm saying is, if they could ever figure out the draft, okay, this is the year to do it. And at number 9, I don't necessarily think you're going to get a bad player. I think you're actually going to get somebody that can help the team. Now, there's 2 schools of thought with the draft, guys. All right, you get the kid, he comes in, and then you've got this coach that doesn't like playing young players. Well, that devalues the draft pick, right? Look at Troy Brown last year. Troy Brown didn't start playing till the end of the year. Okay, if you're in this pseudo-rebuild mode, this player at number 9 has to play. He has to be in the rotation. He has to get all the experience he needs so in 2 years when Wall comes back, and you have Wall and Beal, this kid's ready to go. He is your third option, potentially. So that's why I feel like you've got to hit tomorrow at number 9. If it's not 9, if you're trading back, you're getting something in the second round also, you got to hit on that guy also.
Talking to Chris Miller, covers the Wizards for NBC Sports Washington. All right, so it seems like you've talked to Ted. There's a plan in place. Tommy Shepard is the interim GM, president of basketball ops, whatever. Tell us a little more about him, because my guess is, or it just seems like, maybe he's the guy who's just... We talked about it on the cap side. They did an internal hire, and that led them to a Stanley Cup.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting when Ted relieved Ernie of his duties, that was one of the first things he said in his press conference was, listen, we've been down this road before with our hockey team, and it turned out okay having Brian McClellan as the GM, and they ended up hoisting a Stanley Cup, and everyone was in euphoria last year with a parade, okay? I feel like it's a little bit different in the NBA. The NBA and the NHL are two completely different sports, obviously, but the way you frame and make up your teams are completely different. Tommy Shepard, from what I've seen with my own eyes and talking to my sources there, is not Ernie Grunfeld 2.0. There are certain things that he has done already since April the 2nd that lends me to think that he's his own guy and he can make his own decisions. And the culture that he's trying to put in place. Some of the things that he does, like holding people accountable, are real. And I'll give you an example, guys, right away. As soon as he got the interim job, you guys remember Devin Robinson had this little scuffle in a nightclub. They didn't deal with it with, it's okay, he's young. They fired him, essentially. They got him out of here. Okay, that's a culture change. So Tommy Shepard is his own man. I will say that all of the people that have been scouting, has been in place since April the 2nd and have gone about the business of doing basketball business.
So Ted Leonsis directly addressed the multiple reports that came out about him planning to offer Masai Ujiri, the Raptors GM, a salary of upwards of $10 million and a stake in Monumental Sports and Entertainment. His quote was, "Any reports that we have interest in Masai Ujiri as a candidate are simply not true. We have never planned in any way to ask for permission to speak to him during our process." Where, in your best guess, did that story come from? How did that hit Twitter and the internet a few days ago and catch such fire?
Well, I said on April the 20th that they should go after him because I feel like if you're going to go big game hunting, go after one of the best in the business right now. And it turns out the guy led Toronto to an NBA championship. Now, me saying it and them going after him are two different things. But clearly, by his statement, that wasn't the plan. Now, I don't know the inner workings of what was happening behind the scenes. People have talked to me about, that could be some tampering if you're putting his name out there without asking for permission for Toronto first. So I feel like Ted put that statement out there to kind of squash any kind of accusation of potential tampering. That's what it seems like to me.